Okay, so we're going to do an Essential Oils 101 class. My name's Emili Whitney, and I'm really excited to be with you guys tonight. I love to teach people about essential oils. They're awesome tools that you can use in your home to help you with your everyday health, and especially when somebody's getting sick, they come in really handy then. I've been working with doTERRA for about 5 years now. I've been using them on my family, on my little babies, and I've had 2 babies since I've been with doTERRA. I've been using them pregnant. I've been using them on my newborns. For those who don't know much about the company, they're a health and wellness company. They were founded in 2008 in Orem, Utah, and they have an emphasis on essential oils. They've developed a couple other kinds of products to go in their line also, but oils are really the heart of the business, and the owners are awesome, and they're very passionate about essential oils and about the purity of them and the things that they can do for us. So doTERRA's 2 main purposes are first to educate and to empower. Education's huge in doTERRA. There's classes all over the place. You can find a ton of it online on YouTube. And they usually have East Coast and West Coast conferences, and there are a lot of classes you can go to. One thing that I really love about doTERRA is that they have a very, very great culture where everybody's almost like family. So you can go to other people's classes. We take care of each other. It doesn't matter where in doTERRA you fall. Usually we all like to work together to share our experiences and to help one another. The other thing that doTERRA does is empowers us. It gives us some great tools to help us be able to take care of our family and to have some oils to be able to use when we get sick and when things go wrong. So a couple things that doTERRA does not do. doTERRA does not prevent, treat, or cure disease. To prevent, treat, and cure disease, the power for that is really in our lifestyle. So our lifestyle is what keeps us healthy. When we look at what we eat, look at how much we exercise, the rest we get, the stress management, and the toxic exposure. There's so many things in the air and in the food that we just need to be doing as much as we can to keep our systems clean. But that's going to be your biggest tool when it comes to fighting sicknesses and diseases. Doctors treat symptoms and fix our broken parts. They're often overused. They shouldn't be our first stop. We can add some tools and education to our lives so that we know what to try before we go to the doctor. I have a husband that works in the emergency room, and he sees so many people for things that really aren't emergencies that they shouldn't be going in for. And so we can take the first step to be trying things ourselves and educating ourselves so that we don't have to burden them with things that really aren't emergencies and that really could be taken care of at home. So there are many conditions where doctors don't cure us, they just treat our symptoms. And essential oils don't necessarily cure us either, but they help our body, and they help boost our immune system and feed the right systems so that our body has the tools that it needs to help itself, to heal itself. So here we have a picture of a peppermint leaf on the left, a plant, and on the right it's like a super zoomed up picture. So the oils are extracts from plants. You see the little pockets of oil on the right. Here are these little sacs. That's where the oil goes. It's kind of like the blood of the plant. It's kind of like the sweat of the plant. It's there to protect the plant, and it keeps it healthy. And this part is super, super powerful. We've used herbs for a really long time. My mom and my sisters are all master herbalists, and we've been using herbs for years and years. I was amazed when we got into essential oils at just how much more powerful they are. They're 50 to 70 times more powerful than herbs. And they say that 1 drop of an oil is equal to about 28 cups of tea if you're going to be making tea. So that's kind of one of the things with how powerful they are. The essential oils are a natural alternative to synthetic drugs. One oil will have hundreds of different little compounds made up inside of them, and each compound has a different medicinal benefit. So the pharmaceutical companies will get a natural compound, and they'll actually break it down in their labs and see what it is that's making it effective against the sickness, and then they will replicate it. They'll duplicate it synthetically. So the problem with that is they're not as intricate as when nature makes them. and they don't work the same way because your body doesn't recognize them. They don't see them as natural compounds, and so many of them have to go through the liver where they're broken down and they can harm the liver. But with essential oils, your body recognizes them because it's a natural source, kind of like a food, and it's easily broken down and it can be metabolized without harming the liver. So another thing to recognize is that there are over 100,000 Americans that die each year from properly prescribed pharmaceuticals, which is just to say that they don't agree as well with our body. They're the best tool that pharmaceuticals have, and it benefits them, but at the same time, it might not be the best way to deal with every little thing we have. I would once again go and say we have steps ourselves that we can do first before we go to that extreme where we're using the pharmaceuticals. I'd try to do natural things first, let your body try to heal itself before going to that step. So let's talk about the doTERRA difference. You can find essential oils everywhere. You can find them in the dollar store. You can find them for super cheap in other countries. And there are tons of different standards of them. So the most common standard and the highest quantity of oils out there are synthetic, which means they're perfume or industrial grade. They have been broken down and they've been divided up and then they've chemically been remade and synthetically produced. So things like any kind of perfume stores, things you might find in the mall with the yummy smelly lotions, those are all going to be synthetically made. That's how they're able to sell them so inexpensively. And they're not straight from nature. They've been remade with the same compounds, but they're not the same. So the next one is food grade. That's going to be to flavor your food, your peppermint, your lemon, things that you're going to find as natural flavorings in the store. A lot of oils will pass this where they can be used as a flavoring or something similar. Even smaller would be the therapeutic grade, and that's going to be a health benefit. There are a lot of companies that claim they're therapeutic grade, and they probably do have a higher quality of oil, which is why they cost more money. But doTERRA's is the smallest portion of the graph, compared to how many oils there are out there. They're the purest form, they're unaltered, they're straight from the plant, as original as we can get them. doTERRA never divides up oils into different compounds. They always keep them whole, and they're the highest quality on the market today. You can't find another one that's higher. So they have this CPTG grade on them, Certified Pure Therapeutic Grade. When they put this label on it, that's to say that every single batch that they've picked and distilled and extracted has gone through a gas chromatography test and a mass spectrometry test. Those tests identify all of the compounds in each of the oils and their quantities. They test the oil. They make sure it's free from contaminants, from pesticides, or even like weeds, things that can grow in there that might not be noticed when they're being picked. So they go through each one of them to make sure that it only has that oil in it. It doesn't have any extra things in there. And so it's as close to nature as we can possibly get it. And so nothing's been added to them and nothing's been taken away. So this is why doTERRA stands behind taking them internally. There are many companies that it'll say right on the bottom that not to take them, that they're not intended for internal use. But doTERRA takes the steps to ensure that the quality is so high and the purity and the potency are perfect on every single batch of oils that they stand behind you taking them internally. The ones that are made for internal use have a square supplement facts box on the back of them, so you can check that. If they don't have a supplement box, it actually doesn't say that you can't take them. It's just that's not why they recommend them. So those ones are not recommended for internal use. And now they're becoming so efficient with their batching and testing that you'll notice on the new bottles that you get that they each have a label, so that with a barcode, so you could actually track the exact batch they came from, and they can pull up those tests to prove the purity of the oil when they first tested the batches. And I think one of the reasons that they're so strict about this is because all of the owners use the oils with their own family, and they want to guarantee the safety for their own children and themselves, and so they stand behind all of them. doTERRA gets all of their oils where they're indigenous from each part of the world. Here's a fun map that kind of has a handful of their oils, not all of them, but a lot of them, and where they're grown from. There are different places where you'll see lots of different crops, like in Utah there are tons of lavender crops. But lavender doesn't grow here naturally. It doesn't have as many healing and medicinal properties. And so if you were to test the lavender from Utah against the lavender that comes from the high altitudes of France, you would get a totally different chemical makeup in those batches because the soil and the climate and the conditions where the crops are grown are really different. And so it does make a big difference where they're grown. It might be cheaper to grow it in one place, but the compounds won't be as medicinal and beneficial to your body as when you grow them in the place that they're indigenous. So doTERRA has really done their homework. They know where the best crops are with the highest medicinal qualities. And those are the ones that they use. They do the best that they can to find the best quality with a source that will sustain the growth of doTERRA, because we are going through so many oils so rapidly that they have to have a lot of farms to support an oil. So you'll find that they are continually adding oils to the list that they have, but they don't add oil until they know they can have sufficient of that oil, a sufficient group of people growing, so that we have enough to supply the large group of people that are now demanding oils in doTERRA. So their sourcing is awesome. They do a really good job with that. Down here is a quick slide showing you how quickly the oils work. This was a test that Dr. Hill did a couple years ago. He is the chief medical examiner for doTERRA, who comes up with a lot of the blends and the scientific work behind the oils. So what he did was one day he ate just a bunch of junk food in the morning. He told us he ate donuts and tons of juice and sugar. And then he pricked his finger and took a sample of his blood. And if you see on the left side, you'll see that the blood is really stuck together. All the little cells, they were moving super slow. They were just kind of sluggish. And so then he took 1 drop of their Balance essential oil, which is one of my favorites. It's just a great grounding blend. And then he took a blood sample 30 seconds later, and on the right you'll see the cells, they kind of slowed down, they separated, and they equalized. So 1 drop of essential oil can service every cell in your body. They say usually within about 20 minutes, often a lot quicker than that. There are 3 very powerful things that essential oils are. Antimicrobial, essential oils are anti-inflammatory, and essential oils are antioxidants. So let's talk about our current healthcare system. Most of us use our current healthcare system to fix things after we're sick or broken, usually through medication, and many people don't focus on what we can do to prevent illness. That's something that we have to do in our own home. So let's take a second and talk about viral infections and bacterial infections and understanding the difference between them. This is our picture of our cell, and you'll see the virus is inside the cell. So a viral infection usually hijacks, a virus will hijack that cell, and then it'll make a ton of duplications of that cell. And that's how it overcomes your body and you get sick. When it comes to bacterial infections, you see the bacteria on the outside of the cell. Bacteria is just around in our body. It doesn't get inside the cell, but it still will grow. And so when we get sick, if you were to use an antibiotic would be able to kill that bacteria. But one thing that a lot of people don't understand is that an antibiotic cannot cross that outer membrane of the cell. So if you have a virus like a cold or a flu or a cough or a lot of the things that really come and go quickly in our homes, an antibiotic can't touch that. It can't get in there. And so what happens is you take this antibiotic and it almost builds in your body, and any bacteria that you might have in your body will either be killed off with the antibiotic, or worse, it will resist it. It'll become resistant to it. Usually antibiotics don't kill off all of an infection. It just kills off the majority of an infection, so your immune system can come back and fight. So what will happen is it'll make that bacteria resistant to that antibiotic, and the next time you use it, it won't work for you. So basically, if you have a virus and you take an antibiotic, you're kind of wasting your time and your money and your health, because that antibiotic is going to have other side effects. So this is becoming a really big problem. This is something that my husband deals with in the ER all the time. Moms come in with their 6 kids, they have fevers, and they want to do something about it. They want to help. And so it'll be a virus, and there's really nothing he can do. He'll just say, go home, wait it out, drink lots of water, take some vitamin C. But they refuse to do that. They've spent the time and they've spent the money. And I would honestly feel this way too if I was waiting in the emergency room, because I was scared because my child was sick. But the problem is they'll demand an antibiotic and then they'll go give it to their child just to make sure they feel like they're doing something to help out. So this has led to a really big problem in our country right now. Drug-resistant superbugs. There's a crisis about it. It's the #1 public health concern worldwide, according to the Center for Disease Control. All of our bacteria have become resistant to most of our antibiotics. A lot of it is because we're taking them when we don't need them. And then the more resistant they grow, the harder it is to develop a new antibiotic to keep up with these superbugs because they're just becoming resistant to everything. So it's such a problem that over the last 4 years, they've developed a handful of new antibiotics, but the strains keep mutating, and so it can't really keep up for it. The Center for Disease Control is trying to educate us so that we're not using antibiotics so much. This is a program that they do once a year. It's a week in November, and it's kind of like an education week called Get Smart, where they're trying to educate moms to know when antibiotics work and when they're not going to work. So they will never get inside our cells, so when you have a virus, they just don't work. For your viral infections, the flu bugs, the coughs, the colds, most of the ear infections, those won't be affected by antibiotics. They're designed for bacterial infections, and so as a community we need to educate one another to stop asking for those antibiotics when they don't help. That'll help us to not have the side effects, and that'll help those superbugs to not become resistant to everything. This is a study that there's a girl named Nicole Stevens who went to the U of U, and she's done a lot of research on the essential oils with MRSA and with different big strains of viruses that are spreading, bacteria and viruses that are spreading. So there is a disease called KPC. It's very much like MRSA. It's a bacterial strain. It's actually started spreading into the hospitals, and now it's spreading everywhere. If you look on the graph in 2001, you can see that it was just in one state, but then in 2012, it's really kind of covered the U.S. This is one that can cause all kinds of different infections. It can cause pneumonia, bloodstream infections, meningitis, urinary tract infections, and it's really become resistant to all antibiotics. So Nicole Stevens, she evaluated a bunch of essential oils against them, and the oils she found to be the most potent against them were oregano, thyme, and cinnamon. And she diluted them like 1 to 100, 1 drop to 100 drops of water. She did these huge dilutions, so it wasn't like it was even straight on there. It was totally diluted, and they were still the most potent thing against these bacterial infections. They just would wipe them out. So the nice thing is that oregano and thyme and cinnamon, nothing can become resistant to them because they're so powerful, and because since they come from nature, every batch is slightly different naturally. And so it won't be able to keep up with it. It can kind of wipe it out either way. This is where you can step up and you can take more control in your family's health care, is just learning the tools that you have available to you that you can use right off the bat in order to start somewhere. And then if things get out of control, I am so grateful for the medical system and for the doctors that we have. And I'll be the first to admit that if there's a problem that I can't handle, I will go there and I will get their help. But what I found with essential oils is that if I am consistent with trying them as soon as I see any kind of symptoms, then often the symptoms go away quickly within a day or two, sometimes even less, sometimes within hours. So let's go ahead and talk about how to use them. There are a couple different ways you can use them. First is aromatically. That's using a diffuser or something to put them into the air. If you don't have a diffuser, you can still put a drop in your hands, rub them together, and just cup it around your nose and breathe deeply. Right behind your nose, you have an olfactory nerve, and that will just disperse it into your blood quickly. So it will get into your system fast if you're breathing it. The next way is to put it on topically. You can put it on wherever it hurts, like if you're addressing something on your skin, you can put it right on your skin. Or you can rub it on the bottom of your feet. Our feet are the most porous parts of our body, so it absorbs really quickly. And then there are the points that correspond with your body with the reflexology that will help it to go where it needs to go, and your body can utilize it very quickly that way. It gets into the bloodstream. The other way that you can do it is internally, and that's one of my preferred ways, actually. You can drop it a drop or two in a glass of water and drink it, or sometimes we'll use a shot glass so we can kind of chug it down really fast. And then on the left here, you'll see that there's a capsule. There's little gelatin veggie capsules that you can drip oils into, and then you close them up and you can swallow them down. So that's one way that I'll deal with things if they're coming up and I'm feeling sick. I'll just throw some oils in a capsule and take it internally. With my little kids, they don't usually want to do that. I'll just rub it on their feet. But those are the 3 ways that are most common to use the oils. The next thing you want to be aware of is just essential oil safety. There's a handful of oils that are caustic and that are really hot, like oregano and thyme and cinnamon. Those are 3 classic examples. If you put those right on your skin, they will burn. They're meant to be very powerful. They're very potent. They're very concentrated. And so you want to get a list. When you get a kit, it comes with a list with the oils that need to be diluted. So what's really important is that you're going to need to dilute it with a carrier oil. You don't want to use water because water and oil will naturally separate. And so if you have oil on your skin and you put water on top of it, you're almost forcing that oil to go further into your skin, and it will hurt more. So you want to dilute it with some kind of an oil. I really do love doTERRA's fractionated coconut oil because it's always in a liquid format, and it absorbs really quickly and easily into your skin, so it doesn't leave you feeling greasy. If you don't have coconutted oil though, fractionated coconut oil, you can grab some olive oil, some regular coconut oil, vegetable oil if you're having an emergency, although I don't recommend it, but it would still work. And you can dilute it with something else and you just throw it right on top. It doesn't matter if you're a minute late. There's been times where I've put stuff on my kids and not realized it was a hot oil, and then they promptly yelled at me and told me it was hot oil, where I just grab another oil and put it on and it would dilute it without any problems. Another good point is that you want to keep it out of your eyes, ears, and nose. Those are all really sensitive places. They're not made to go in your eyes, ears, or nose. And so if you do that, you might have some other problems, and we don't recommend using them that way. So let's jump into some of the different oils that come. The most 10 basic oils is what I'm going to talk about tonight. The first one is lavender. It is one of the most common oils in the world. It is good for just about anything that you want to calm down or relax. It's good for insomnia. It's good for elevating your mood and balancing out your emotions. It's great for your skin if you have any kind of cut, bruise, rashes. It'll help with that. Good for hay fever, cold sores, and earaches, and balances the pineal gland. I also had a friend who had a bad nosebleed one day and told me that she rubbed some lavender on her nose and that it stopped the bleeding like within 5 or 10 seconds. So I kind of didn't believe her, to be honest. So the first time one of my little kids came coming to me with a cut that was bleeding, I was kind of excited because I could go grab my lavender oil and try it out. So I got the lavender oil and she had cut her toe and I put it right on her toe. I actually personally, with my own kids, I drip it right on their cut and it goes right in there, and it usually is calming. So it stopped bleeding within seconds. I was amazed. But it's really great for coagulating blood and for stopping that bleeding, and it's great for calming all these skin issues. This is a picture of a little boy in South America that Justin Harrison met. He walked through something that he thought was water, and then it turned out to be some kind of chemical, and it gave him a horrible chemical burn. So they gave him lavender, and after 15 days, here are the pictures of his foot all cleared up. I know they're not super clear, and I bet he still has some marks from them, but the difference was just amazing. It was night and day between how badly he had been burned and how much it had healed. So here's another study, a couple studies you can look back on later. They have a lot of studies that have proven that when you're using lavender, you're going to have better sleep and you're going to suffer less from depression. They also diffused it in dentist's office and found that the patients had better moods when they were exposed to the lavender. And they've also had studies that show that it's found to reduce mental stress while increasing arousal. There's right there on that study. So the next oil that we're going to go to is lemon. Lemon is one of the best oils that is just great for cleansing. It's one of the cleanest antibacterial, antiviral oils. So it's antiseptic, it improves circulation, it's an immune stimulant, it's antibacterial, antiviral, and antifungal. It's good for your respiratory system, and it's anti-inflammatory. And they've also shown that drinking lemon in your water will boost your white blood cell count. So they always recommend that you have some kind of citrus oil in your water. I've heard some really cool stories too about people just drinking it and it keeping their mouth free of bacteria, because we know that most of our sicknesses start in our mouth. That's where there's so much different bacteria, and something happens in there, and sometimes it'll change into something bigger in the body. So if you can start with your mouth and keeping your mouth clean of bacteria, you've got a better chance at keeping your system clean. So the next oil we're going to talk about is peppermint oil. I wish you were close so we could pass them around and you could smell them. But peppermint oil is one of the greatest oils for relieving stress and tension. When my kids get sick and they have a fever, it's great to down their body temperature. You can rub it on their feet, or you can rub it on the back of their neck or their temples. On little kids, sometimes I'll dilute it with a little coconut oil because it does have that kind of icy hot effect. It's awesome for opening up your lungs and increasing that lung capacity so you can get air in better. It'll increase your alertness and wake you up. It's great for your digestive system, for upset stomach and for inflammation. Wonderful for headaches. Awesome for digestion and circulation and allergies. That's a great list. Peppermint is also one of the things you can use to help where it says increase alertness. If you put it on when you're studying for a test or something, and then later you go and take the test, then it will bring those things back to your memory. So it's awesome for your brain and remembering stuff. I also had a very dear friend who had a really bad problem with her stomach. A lot of inflammation, and her system was just very slow, and I asked Dr. Hill about it, and he told me to have her take 10 drops of peppermint in a capsule. And so she started doing that, and that was a huge turning point for her with being able to move her system and heal her digestive system. So that's one that's really great for digestion, and there are tons and tons of studies out there on peppermint that you can look up on the internet on PubMed. There's a site called Aromatic Science also that you can look up that are backed up by peppermint. So another thing to worry about in this world is the Tylenol that's out there. I'll admit that I've used plenty of Tylenol in my life. The FDA has come out recently with a warning that says that taking more than the recommended amount causes liver damage, ranging from abnormalities in the liver function, blood tests, to acute liver failure and even death. So right now, the number one cause of liver failure in the United States is actually Tylenol, or acetaminophen. So the FDA has required that Tylenol reduce the dosage and that they spread it out so you can't take it as much. Now, I want to contrast that with a study they have on PubMed. This showed that they had a double-blind group where they had two different groups of people. One group was taking acetaminophen, and the other group was using the peppermint essential oil, and it was 10% of peppermint oil, so it was diluted. It wasn't even like full strength. And they found that between those two groups, they all had the same reaction. It helped the same amount when it came to relieving headaches. The difference was those that had used peppermint didn't have any reverse actions. They didn't have any bad side effects, versus those who had used it, the Tylenol would have the bad side effects of it hurting their liver down the road. So my question is, if there's really no difference, then why aren't we using something more natural when it's so easily at our fingertips, where we won't be damaging our organs and hurting our liver in the long run? Sometimes, since we can't see the effects right now, we forget that there are effects down the road. And so that's one of the things that we've been cutting out of our daily routine, is just reaching for the peppermint and reaching for the natural remedies instead of the medications that are in our medicine cabinet. If you're forgetting to reach for them, then you can just go ahead and stick your oils in your medicine cabinet, and then you'll be reminded when you open it up to pull out that essential oil. So the next oil we're going to talk about is Melaleuca. It's awesome for first aid, great for skin things. It's good for fungal infections, herpes infections, diaper rash, acne, insect bites, eczema, and irritated skin conditions. This one you can put on directly. You don't have to dilute it. It does have a nice Melaleuca smell, and it works really well for any of those kind of like yeast infection, anything that has any kind of fungal relation. It's going to work really well for that. The next one is oregano, which is a natural immune support. Oregano is really, really strong. It'll stimulate your immune response. It's a natural defense. It'll cleanse. It's a good cleanse for your GI health, and it will eliminate warts and tags and moles, but I have to warn you, if you're going to use it on that, you do want to dilute it. There was one time where I had a wart in like the cracks of my feet. It was the weirdest thing ever. And so I just dripped some oregano in there and it totally killed. And I just thought, I am so tough. It doesn't matter that it hurts. I'm just going to tough this out. We're going to get rid of these warts as fast as we can. And the warts were gone literally overnight. They were gone so fast. But my skin was so sensitive down there that my feet literally bled and I couldn't walk. I couldn't walk for a day or two because it hurt so bad. So don't be tough if you're using oregano. If you're putting it on your skin at all, it will be just as potent if you dilute it, and your body will thank you later. So dilute when you use it. Don't be afraid of using it because it doesn't burn if you dilute it. But it's very strong and it'll work the best if you add a little bit of coconut oil or something else to it. Now, if you're taking it internally, that's different because the acid in your stomach will make it so that it's not so strong. So if I take it internally, I don't worry about diluting it, but that's kind of a call you can make on yourself. You can try it both ways and see if you like one way better. So a lot of people call this a medicine cabinet in a bottle. Another thing that's good to be aware of when you're doing oregano is if you're going to use it for a cleanse, don't use it every single day for more than 10 days. It is very potent and very strong, and it'll wear your body out. So if you decide to use it for a cleanse, be sure to stop and give your body a 5 to 10 day break if you use it that consistently, and don't use it so without a break. Just give your body a chance to recover. There are a lot of studies on oregano also. Here's a few of the ones that stood out. Georgetown University found that the oil of oregano appears to reduce infection as effectively as traditional antibiotics. At a relatively low dose, it was found to be efficacious against Staphylococcus bacteria and was comparable in its germ-killing properties to antibiotic drugs such as streptomycin, I'm going to say that wrong, penicillin, and vancomycin. The findings were presented by Harry G. Pruce, MD, professor of psychology and biophysics in Georgetown University. And the best part is that part at the bottom that we talked about earlier, that drug resistance does not develop against naturally occurring antibiotics such as garlic and oil of oregano. So they're really good ones to turn to. Nature changes them enough from batch to batch that the bacteria aren't going to be resistant to them. So that's a good one whenever you have any kind of sickness that you can reach for. The next oil that we'll talk about is frankincense. A lot of people call this the king of oils, and there's a saying that if you don't know what to use, then you just grab frankincense because it's good for so many different things. Frankincense comes from the resin on trees. We get it from Oman. And I know that doTERRA went around and they compared different places to source the frankincense, and in Oman was where they had the highest qualities of medicinal properties. On the left, you'll see the hand touching the resin. One thing that I barely just learned is that they actually slice the resin off in 3 different grades. So there's the outer grade, the middle grade, and then the grade that's closest to the tree. So the one that's closest to the tree has the most medicinal properties, and that's the only one that doTERRA uses because it has the highest and most concentrated amount. Frankincense is awesome for so many things. Let me show you some of them. Depression, anxiety, any kind of stress-related condition, nerve tonic, immune stimulation, and thyroid support. So anything that has to do with your brain, any kind of anxiety or anything that has to do with your brain, you can use frankincense for because it is loaded with sesquiterpenes. One of the things that they've found is it's very difficult to find medications that will cross the blood-brain barrier and be able to help your brain. But frankincense has sesquiterpenes, and that's the compound that can get into your brain and that can help there with any kind of inflammation and help with balancing your mood and just helping your mind and your brain. So it also has, a lot of people have used frankincense in studies for cancer, and there are tons of awesome studies coming out right now. Of course, all of them are done in a lab, and so there are not a lot of published studies on people from what I understand because there's too big of a liability if something goes wrong. But if you get on the internet and you sense in cancer, you'll be surprised at the stories that you come up with of people who are not doctors who have just used it themselves and had really great success with cancer and frankincense. Some of them use it alongside the medical field where they'll take it while they're going through chemotherapy and going through radiation. And I've heard a lot of people say that it really helped the pain so that it didn't hurt so bad when they went through the treatments for cancer. So there's a lot of different ways to use it. And if you have someone with that problem, then I would get on Google and start researching it. It's also super anti-inflammatory. They've shown that it prevents collagen degradation and inhibits the production of pro-inflammatory mediators and MMPs. So basically, what your body does when it starts to hurt is it creates that inflammation, and that's what causes you pain in the long run, is the inflammation builds up. And so the frankincense will help dissipate that early, so that it just helps treat that inflammation so it doesn't get out of control and it doesn't hurt really bad. So this will also be great for sore muscles, anything that's affecting your body when it comes to inflammation. Dr. Hill recommends 2 drops under your tongue daily. When you put things under your tongue, it almost goes right up into your brain. So he'll recommend 1 in the morning and 1 in the night to help with just daily inflammation and things that we come across and making sure it doesn't build up. Next, we have some of doTERRA's blends. They have some awesome blends. Dr. Hill spends time researching them, combining them in different ways, and checking those tests, the mass chromatography and the mass spectrometry tests. So when they put blends together, they go back and forth and they look at the testing and how it comes out and what it looks like and which combinations have the highest medicinal qualities that they're looking for. And it takes them a long time to come out with a blend. The longest blend he spent a year and a half working on one of the blends to get it perfect. But they just look at the different ways to combine them before they come out with the blends. And there's a lot of research and study that goes into the combination of them. So the first blend is my husband's favorite blend. It's called Deep Blue. It's awesome for sore muscles, muscle aches, inflammation. It's got wintergreen, camphor, peppermint, blue tansy, blue chamomile, and osmanthus. A lot of these will give you that icy hot feeling, and so it'll help soothe those muscles and soothe the aches. But then the helichrysum in it is a very expensive oil that's awesome for healing. That's the one's a little bit pricier, and so that's why the Deep Blue isn't super cheap, but it is amazing for deep tissue healing. I used to play racquetball with some amazing ladies, and we would play every single day, and it got to a point where I didn't have a really good racket, and it started to hurt my forearm. It hurt so bad that I literally couldn't turn the handle of a door and open the door anymore, but I didn't want to stop playing because I was too stubborn. I didn't want to stop playing. I had an overuse injury and I didn't want to stop playing. And so my husband recommended that I use Deep Blue because I was really new to the oils and I wasn't used to going to them yet. So I started to use it and it soothed it and it made it feel better right away, but there was still kind of a deep hurt. But then within about a week, it kind of healed that deep hurt also. And I didn't have a problem anymore with my forearm. But I've seen it work now over and over again with my sore muscles. And I know so many people that swear by it. It's awesome for any kind of aches and joint pain. It's a natural analgesic. I'm going to say that wrong. A pain reliever. It's great for muscle pain, joint pain. It's great for it's also good for cramps and bruises. You can rub it on your tummy if you have any kind of menstrual cramps for women. If you have bruises, it'll help with the circulation of the bruise so it goes way quicker. You can apply it as a compress to the spine and to reflex points. And it's all around an awesome blend. If you're a woman and you have a husband that's not on board, just give him a back massage with some Deep Blue and see how he likes it. But that's worked for me with my husband. He loves that blend and we will never go without it. The next blend is Breathe, and Breathe is a respiratory blend. It has laurel leaf, peppermint, eucalyptus, melaleuca, lemon, and ravensara. It is awesome for any kind of respiratory issue, discomfort, congestion. You can apply it to your chest, to the bottoms of your feet, to your back. You can also put it right on your sinus cavities. I put it right on my cheeks, below my eyes, and right above my forehead. You just want to keep your eyes closed if you do that because the fumes will get in your eyes and bother them, and you want to keep it away from your eyes because that peppermint doesn't feel good in your eyes. So it'll calm asthma symptoms, it'll soothe cold and flu discomfort, and it'll eliminate coughs. And I've had some really, really cool experiences with the Breathe. I have two different friends who had the same problem. Both of them had a little girl that had asthma so bad that she would not sleep through the night. The first friend of mine that had this problem, her daughter was at least 4 by the time I had met her, and she always was up in the night with coughing fits, having to do the albuterol treatments for her asthma. And so I sent her some Breathe to try it out, and she called me the next day and was like, oh my gosh, how do I get more of this stuff? This stuff is like gold. She said her daughter slept through the night for the first time in like her whole life. And then now that it's been years that she's been doing it, that daughter just has had a lot of breathing issues, and she was in the hospital a lot. So it hasn't fixed everything. She still does have some breathing issues, but she diffuses it in her room each night, and her daughter gets sick way less. She used to go to the hospital, I think 4 to 6 times a year, and now she'll sometimes not go at all. Sometimes she still will go to the hospital 1 time a year. So same thing. It's one of those oils that will help the respiratory system to have the tools it needs to heal itself. Not a fix-all, but definitely a blessing for those who aren't sleeping through the night. I have another who I sent her a bottle of this for her little girl, and her little girl just opened the bottle and walked around the house breathing it because she was only like 1.5 or 2, but she could feel that difference. And same thing, she didn't sleep through the night, and now that she diffused it makes a huge difference in how much rest she gets, which is how much rest her mom gets, and how well she does with her health. So Breathe is awesome for symptoms like that, any kind of breathing issues. The next one is DIGESTZEN, great for digestive issues. It has ginger, peppermint, tarragon, fennel, caraway, coriander, and anise. It's awesome for calming tummies. It'll do, we used to kind of joke about this, that it'll help with constipation and diarrhea. It'll do all these opposite things. And this is really one of those cases where you look at the fact that each of these oils are feeding the digestive system. So sometimes it's not about fixing constipation or fixing diarrhea. It's more about giving your digestive system the tool it needs to regulate itself and to be healthy enough so that those symptoms don't come out. So it's really good with those kind of things. You can take it internally when you're eating a meal. If you're traveling and you're worried about what you're eating, you can take it. You can rub it right on your stomach if you have a tummy ache. It's great for parasites, for candida. And then you can put it on animal paws for parasites. And the other thing about DIGESTZEN is if my kids get like an upset tummy where they're throwing up and they have a 24-hour flu bug, I found that if I can get it on them and they usually don't throw up again the whole time. So if one of my children gets something, I will immediately put this on all of them. And another thing to keep in mind is you don't need a whole handful of oil. You can just use 1 drop or 2 drops, but frequency is the key. So if you put it on 1 drop at a time, you want to apply it, depending on how severe it is, anywhere from every 15 minutes to every couple hours. But you don't need a lot at a time, just a little bit at a time, and just really be consistent with applying it. So another problem in the world today are the uses of antacids type medication. This is something that a lot of people use every single day for years and years and years, but they have come out and said that you need to be aware that it's only intended for 14 days of use. And what they're finding is that when you're on this for a long time, it's causing brittle bones and bone fractures. And so it should not be used more than 14 days in 1 year. So DIGESTZEN would be another really awesome one for any kind of heartburn, anything inside to help with that digestion without having to turn to the over-the-counter stuff that could possibly cause you really long-term damage. The next thing that I want to talk about, this isn't actually an essential oil and it doesn't come in the starter kits, but this is one that we use a lot. It's called PB Assist, and many people that 80% of our immune system is located in our digestive system, making a healthy gut a major focal point if you want to maintain optimal health. So what we don't realize is oftentimes we're using oregano or antibiotics or whatever to wipe out that bacteria, and we wipe out the good and the bad bacteria. And so we want to be able to replenish with good bacteria. So this PB Assist is a good probiotic that will help replenish that good bacteria in your gut. The next oil is one of my personal favorites. It's On Guard. It's a natural defense. I love On Guard because it is equally effective against virus and bacterial infections, viral and bacterial infections. It has wild orange, clove bud, cinnamon, eucalyptus, and rosemary. It actually goes to well together. I think it tastes great. I just drop it right in my mouth when I feel something coming on. A lot of people will put it in a capsule. If it's my children, I'll rub it right on their feet. But it is awesome for harmful bacteria, for molds, for viruses. It's a good blood sugar support. It's great for your immune system. It can disinfect surfaces, and it's great for colds and flus. If any one of us starts having any kind of sick symptom, whether it be an earache or a fever or a cough or a runny nose, I will put On Guard because it's so awesome to prevent viruses and bacteria from growing and developing. It's my first line of defense for pretty much anything, which is one thing that I really love, is that I don't have to know what they have. I don't have to know if they have the flu or if it's just a cold or if it's the chicken pox. It doesn't matter what it is. If they're sick, On Guard is awesome against both bacterial and viral infections. And so that's one of the things that I'll go to first. It's kind of like our super immunity. There's a research paper on PubMed that's awesome that talks about, here's the details on it, H1N1 and MRSA. It talks about On Guard being 90% effective in stopping viruses and bacterial from, or well, this says viruses, from growing in your body. So if you can get it into your system right as you're starting to get sick, it will stop it from progressing and stop you from getting even sicker. Now, if you've already gotten really sick and you get it into your system, it'll stop it from getting worse, but you have to keep in mind that you have all these sick cells built up because you didn't get the On Guard in fast enough. And so I would still trust the On Guard personally, but your body's still going to have to have runny noses and coughs to get all those sick cells out of it to kind of cleanse itself. So the earlier you can get it symptoms, the faster it will stop it and the less sick you will get. And same with any that are around that are exposed to whatever it is going around. And then they also did find that On Guard was more effective at killing MRSA and not just inhibiting it. And that was also diluted at a totally high rate. So it's also suggested that there's a lesser chance of the organisms to produce a resistance mechanism against On Guard. So they can't keep up with it and they can't become resistant to it the same way they can with antibiotics. So On Guard, one of my best oils. I would never leave the house without it. I don't go on vacation without it. I take it everywhere I go so that when something strikes, I can zap it right away, right in the beginning. This next slide is just an example of the cost between essential oils and traditional medicine. Each of these big bottles has 250 drops of oil in it. When you buy a kit, they usually come in smaller bottles, and those have about 85 drops of oil, but they last a long time. So if you look at what you're paying when you go to the doctor versus what you could pay to try it yourself, on a child's fever where you could use peppermint oil, it would cost you 33 cents for that drop, and you usually see a difference within 5 to 10 minutes. Whereas when you use any kind of fever medication, it's about 50 cents a drop, and it takes anywhere from 20 to calm down their fever. If you look at an upset stomach, the DIGESTZEN oil is 39 cents for each of the doses, and you usually feel it. This says 5 to 10 minutes, but on my kids, they'll be up and running around again in like 2 or 3 minutes. It's super fast. Over-the-counter medication will be 70 cents, and it usually takes 15 to 30 minutes. And then the ear infection is a big one. Many people don't know that there is no significant research that shows that antibiotics ever help ear infections because they're usually viral and not bacterial. So ear infections, you can use lavender and melaleuca. It's 64 cents for those two oils together. And you'll usually see it get better within a day. I've actually had it just be overnight where they were better in the morning. And we've had a lot of ear infections in my house. I've had a few bad ear infections that did take a day or two of persistence of adding oils, but maybe 2 for the 15 or 20 we've had in the last couple years. Most of them are gone overnight. I will rub lavender around their ear, behind their ear, and you can also put a couple drops of lavender and melaleuca on like a cotton ball and put the cotton ball over their ear and just kind of hold it there, and the fumes will go in and help it. Now, if you compare that to a doctor visit and antibiotics, this is an estimated cost. It's going to depend on your copay. And it'll take 7 to 10 days on that antibiotic. But what a lot of people don't realize is that to go to the doctor, you're often taking your kids into a room with a lot of other sick people where they have all kinds of different sicknesses, exposing them. You're going to lose the time that you sit in the waiting room, the time that you sit with the doctor, the time that you sit getting your prescription, and then you have to be consistent with taking it. And if you're not, then the bacteria develops that resistance. So really the cost for me is more than that $28.99. It's the time that I spend. It's stopping and packing everybody up and going to the doctor. When I can just take 5 minutes at home and throw some oils on them every couple hours. And I've had a lot of really great success with that. So the next thing I want to talk about is antioxidants. We are getting close to the end. Antioxidants are what get oxygen into your cells. It's what kills the free radicals. Free radicals are the molecules produced when your body breaks down food or from environmental toxins like tobacco smoke, radiation. They really hurt your cells, and that's what usually develops into some kind of a disease or cancer. So studies have shown that diets high in antioxidants from fruits and vegetables is associated with lower risk of cancer, cardiovascular, Parkinson's disease, and Alzheimer's disease. So antioxidants are super important, which leads me to the top antioxidants out there. This is a scale that was done, also at Tufts University, that breaks down the ORAC scale. So the ORAC is the amount of antioxidants per amount of whatever it is. So this was each measured in 3.5 ounces, but Natalie Rigby on our team broke these down by drops. So if you see the clove, that's actually for 2 drops of clove. So I used to think that blueberries and the acai berry were the highest. Acai berry is pretty high, but if you compare it over to the right to the essential oils for just 2 small drops and how high they are, the oils are huge in antioxidants, huge in helping with the free radicals in your body and containing them. The other thing too is the more food-based that can be, the better for your body also. So where doTERRA puts a lot of these antioxidants is in their Lifelong Vitality Pack. So this is their kind of foundation for optimal health. It is a food-based supplement pack. It contains a vitamin and omega oil that has a fish oil and omegas, and it has a antioxidant blend in the alpha CRS. They also have a vegan one if you don't want the fish oil. It's awesome for inflammation and bringing down any kind of occurring pain that continues. The guy who created him actually does marathons, and he's in great shape. He doesn't have a lot of inflammation, but he made him for himself just for a longer vitality. And this is actually why I got into doTERRA. I went to a meeting a long time ago. I've used oils for probably maybe 8 or 9 years now. I've used a lot of different brands. I liked them before I got to doTERRA, but I didn't use them that much because I didn't really feel like they were super effective. And then I came to one of doTERRA's meetings and they talked about the Vitality Pack, which I was a little bit annoyed because my family's used a lot of supplements, and I thought, great, I don't need to hear about more supplements. I already take like 8,000 supplements a day. But I was so impressed with their presentation that I actually bought a pack that night to go try. I stopped taking all the things I was taking. I was literally taking 8 or 9 other supplements. It was at a point in my life where I just had my 3rd child. She was like 3 months old maybe, and I did not want to leave the house. I was completely feeling some postpartum depression. I didn't want to get dressed. I didn't want to go anywhere. It was all I could do to drag myself to this meeting. And so I started taking the Lifelong Vitality Pack, and it did take about 3 weeks to feel back up to speed, but I could not believe the difference after a month of being on the Lifelong Vitality Pack, how much better I felt. It completely changed my life. I wasn't getting any sleep. I was getting up every 2 to 3 hours. And once I started taking the Lifelong Vitality Pack, I started feeling like I was getting those 7 or 8 hours of sleep. I felt like I could get up, I could get things done. And now it's been about 5 years that I'm still taking them. If I go without them, if I forget them for a day or two, I cannot believe how much it changes my life. I just feel like I don't have the energy that I normally have, and I don't feel as positive as I normally feel. It affects my mood a lot. So this is one of the things that both my husband and I take and we love. For my husband, he had a much different experience. He started taking it just because I was taking it, and so he decided to give it a try. And what he noticed was he had a huge difference in his seasonal allergies. After he had been on them for a year, he used to take all kinds of seasonal allergies, Zyrtec and medicines. And once he had been on this for a year, he didn't need those anymore. It made a huge difference in how much he was sneezing and coughing and how his body reacted to those seasonal allergies. So now he doesn't take any of that stuff anymore. He just keeps breath in his pocket and uses that here and there if it acts up. Or another thing you can do for allergies is lemon, lavender, and peppermint in a cap. But the Vitality Pack has been the base for him. It's been the foundation for having the tools that it needs to not react to those allergies. So the other thing about the Lifelong Vitality Pack is it's been so successful that they do have a 30-day money-back guarantee. You can open those bottles, you can take the whole dose of it for the whole 30 days. And if you don't feel a difference at the end of that 30 days, you can return those empty bottles and they'll refund your money. I do want to counsel you, if you try it, to jump in and do the whole dose. Don't rip yourself off by just taking half of it or just taking one of each to try to make it last longer. Give your body a chance to really utilize that Lifelong Vitality Pack and see the difference that it makes in your body. But if you are not happy, you just contact the person that helped you get in and they'll help you get a refund on them. Personally, I haven't helped anybody get a refund on them. Everybody that I know loves them. So if you haven't tried them, something to get out and try for sure. So here we have our made-over medicine cabinet, the different oils that you can use. If you're used to going to your medicine cabinet, just store them next to each other so you can get in the habit of trying them out. So from here, if you're wondering, if you're not already into doTERRA and you're wondering how to get started, there is a ton of education out there. This Modern Essential Books is a great tool to have. They cost $25 if you buy them online, or if you find somebody that's in doTERRA. Lots of times we can buy them at bulk and you can get them for $20. You want to talk to the person who referred you to the webinar, or you can contact us at contact@teamemili.com. We also have these little essential oil usage guides that are great for your purse or your pocket, or to share with friends if you're sharing oils. But the first thing that you want to do if you're not enrolled already is you want to get enrolled. So you want to contact that person that referred you and pick out what kit will best suit your needs. There are a lot of bigger kits that have a ton of oils in them, so you have a variety. There are also smaller kits that have the basics that you can use just to get started. So you can talk to them and see which oil helps the best. doTERRA also has a program called the Loyalty Reward Program, where a lot of us that are on oils love them so much that we are ordering them every single month. And so if you are ordering them each month, they start giving you a kickback on what you order. So the first few months that you order regularly on their program, you get 10% back of what you order in points, and that goes up all the way up to 30% after 13 months. So I'm usually ordering anywhere from $200 to $300 worth a month, and I'll get $40 to $80 worth of points back that I can redeem for oils the next month. So it's an awesome program when you get using them, and I highly recommend that you do that. That will give you the most oil for your buck, and it'll help them go the farthest. So this movement is irreversible. It will continue to unfold and change medicine throughout the world. But the task has only just begun. It's now necessary for all of us to organize together for the common good and the future of the planet. One thing that doTERRA believes in strongly that I mentioned earlier is just sharing and educating and helping other people know that they have options. A lot of us, if you're not in doTERRA yet, a lot of us are willing to share our oils for free so you can try them out, so you don't have to blindly jump in. But I guarantee you that if you give them a shot, you won't regret it. They are awesome and they've worked really well for us. I also have free training videos at teamemili.com where I talk about how to use the oils. I have some testimonials on there. And then once you get into doTERRA, I have a couple tutorials on how to order, how to log in, how to redeem your points and things like that. So you can get some training there if you'd like to go there. And that's all for right now. If you guys have any questions, feel free to type them in on the left. And thank you so much for joining us.